Hey gardening friends, ready to grow healthier plants, bigger harvests, and smarter gardens? Let's get started.
What if everything you thought you knew about growing onions has been quietly working against you this whole time? You watered them, you weeded them, you gave them your best patch of ground, and still come summer, you pulled onions barely bigger than a golf ball. Does that sound familiar? Welcome back to The Smart Gardener. If this is your first time here, I am glad you found us. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a tip that could change what comes out of your garden. Now, here is something I want you to hear clearly. Growing a big onion has nothing to do with luck, and it has nothing to do with having a so-called green thumb. Most folks who struggle with small onions are doing nearly everything right. They are just missing two specific things that almost nobody ever teaches, and those two things make all the difference. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly why your onions stay small, and you are going to know how to fix it, starting with your very next planting. The harvest you have always wanted from your own garden is a lot closer than you think. Before I give you the two keys, I want to share something that most gardening videos skip right over. And once you understand it, everything else is going to click into place immediately. An onion plant does not grow the same way from start to finish. It actually lives two completely different lives in a single season. In the first part of its life, the plant puts every bit of its energy into growing green tops up above. The leaves push out one by one, reaching for the sun. Nothing much is happening underground yet. Think of this stage like making an investment. You are putting money in the bank, and you are not seeing a return yet. Then something shifts. The plant stops making leaves entirely and sends every last bit of its energy down into the bulb. That is your payoff. That is when the onion swells and fills out into the size you are hoping for. Now here is the part that changes everything. Every single leaf that plant grew in stage 1 becomes one ring inside the bulb in stage 2. More leaves mean more rings. More rings mean a bigger onion. A small onion is simply a plant that ran out of time before it could grow enough leaves. And here is the science behind why that happens. Inside every onion plant, there is a light-sensitive protein that acts like an internal clock. When the number of daylight hours reaches a certain threshold for that variety, that protein flips a switch and tells the plant to stop making leaves and start making bulb. That switch is not controlled by you. It is controlled by the season, and it is going to flip whether your plant has grown 8 leaves or 20. So every single tip I am going to share with you today points toward the same goal. Give that plant as many leaves as possible before the switch flips. That is the whole game. And now that you understand it, you are ready for the two keys. So now you understand the science. Every leaf becomes a ring, and a switch flips when the days get long enough. That brings us to the first key. And honestly, this is the one mistake I see most home gardeners make year after year without ever realizing it. The first key is timing, and the principle is straightforward. Your onion plant has a limited window to grow leaves before the lengthening summer days flip that switch we talked about. Plant late, and you have cut that window short before the season even gets going. No amount of fertilizer, no amount of watering, nothing you do after the fact can grow leaves that never had a chance to appear. The opportunity is simply gone. Now, the exact timing depends on where you live, and I want to be honest with you about that rather than giving you one date that fits nobody perfectly. If you garden in the warm southern states, places like Texas, Georgia, or Louisiana, you want to plant your onions in the fall, somewhere around October or November. Your winters are mild enough that the plants will grow right through them and be ready to bulb up beautifully by late spring. If you are in the middle of the country, states like Ohio, Missouri, or Kansas, get them in the ground as early in spring as the soil can be worked. Better yet, start your seeds indoors 8 to 10 weeks ahead and transplant them out as young seedlings so they hit the ground running. And if you are up in the colder northern states, places like Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan, plant the moment the ground thaws. Every extra week you buy that plant in cool weather is another leaf, and another leaf is another ring. But here is something most gardening videos leave out entirely, and it matters just as much as timing. You have to plant the right type of onion for your region. Onions are divided into 3 groups based on how many hours of daylight they need before that internal switch flips. Short day varieties work for the south. Intermediate day varieties suit the middle states. Long day varieties are built for the north. Plant the wrong type, and even a perfectly timed early planting will give you nothing but small bulbs, because the switch will flip too soon, no matter what you do. The date is not what to remember. The principle is what to remember. Plant as early as your ground allows, and match your variety to the day length of your region. Do both of those things, and you have already won half the battle. Now that you have the first key locked in, let me give you the second one. And this is where a lot of gardeners fall short, even when they get the timing right. The second key is feeding your onions well, because an onion is a hungry plant that needs rich, steady nourishment all through that leaf-growing season. A plant sitting in poor soil will stay small no matter how early you put it in the ground. Start with the soil itself. Onions want loose, well-drained ground with plenty of organic matter worked through it. The ideal soil pH sits between 6.0 and 7.0. Your local county extension office can run a test for you, or pick up a simple home kit. Too acidic, add ground limestone. Too alkaline, work in some peat moss. Raise your beds at least 4 inches high, so water drains cleanly, rather than sitting around the roots. Now here is what most gardeners miss. Onions need different nutrients at different stages. In the early weeks, young roots need phosphorus and potassium most of all. Work bone meal and wood ash into the soil before planting. Then, as the plant moves into active leaf growth, it turns hungry for nitrogen above everything else. Side dress your rows with well-rotted compost, or water with compost tea, every 2 to 3 weeks. When the tops begin to fall over on their own, stop feeding completely. Late fertilizing causes thick necks that will not cure properly, and bulbs that rot in storage. One detail that makes a real difference. Plant only about 1 inch deep. As bulbs begin to swell, gently push surrounding soil away, so the bulb sits almost on top of the ground, with just the roots below. That simple move gives the bulb room to expand fully. Then lay straw or dry grass clippings along your rows to hold moisture, steady the soil temperature, and smother competing weeds. And here is a bonus your garden will thank you for. Onions release natural sulfur compounds that confuse and repel insects looking for a meal. Interplant them with broccoli, cabbage, or beets, and both crops benefit. Add dill or fennel nearby to draw in ladybugs and lacewings, the natural enemies of thrips, which are the most common pest on onion leaves. A diverse bed is a defended bed. Now let me share one more technique that gives you 2 harvests from a single bed, and it costs you nothing extra to do it. Plant your onions close together at first, about 2 to 3 inches apart in the row. Then once the small bulbs have grown to about the size of a quarter, go back down the row and pull every other one. Eat those as fresh green onions right at the table. They will be tender and sweet at that stage. The plants you leave behind now have twice the space, twice the food, and twice the water all to themselves, and they will use every bit of it to swell into the big bulbs you have been working toward. 1 planting, 2 harvests. That is old-fashioned garden wisdom at its best. When it comes to harvest time, watch for the signal the plant gives you. When about 70 to 80% of the tops have naturally fallen over and started turning yellow, your onions are ready. Stop watering and feeding about 7 to 14 days before you plan to pull them. That drying down period lets the outer skins tighten and thicken, which is what protects the bulb in storage. When you pull them, do not yank by the tops. Loosen the soil underneath first, and lift gently so you do not bruise the bulb. Once they are out of the ground, cure them in a shaded, well-ventilated spot like a garage or covered porch for 2 to 4 weeks, until the neck feels completely dry and the outer skin rustles like paper when you handle it. After that, store them in mesh bags or braid the dried tops together and hang them somewhere cool and dark. At a temperature between 45 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit, a properly cured storage onion can last 10 to 12 months. That is nearly a full year of onions from your own ground. So here is where it all comes together. Plant early and match your variety to your region. Feed the right nutrients at the right stage. Plant at the right depth and mulch your rows. Thin for green onions and let the keepers have room to grow. Cure and store them properly when the season is done. Those are not complicated steps. They are just the right steps, done in the right order. This coming season, I want you to try it. Put your onions in as early as your ground allows, feed them the way we talked about, and come back here in the comments when summer arrives and tell me how big they grew. I read every single comment, and there is nothing I enjoy more than hearing about a good harvest from someone who used to struggle with small ones. Next time on The Smart Gardener, we are going to go deeper into soil preparation and cover exactly how to build a bed that keeps producing year after year with less work every season. You will not want to miss it. Until then, keep your hands in the dirt and your eyes on the garden.